So I find myself at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or is it about 5 o'clock? Well, coming up to 5 o'clock anyway. So we've been to the markets, we got some food for the night, probably some food to do most of the week really. We're only staying here until tonight and we head back tomorrow night. But aside from that, you start to ponder the whole idea of the country living and the country life. For me, as I said before in other videos, it would have no bearing on the way I interact on a normal basis. Yes, a better command of the Thai language would definitely service itself better, especially in when you're around family and be able to join in the conversations. At the moment there's a conversation that goes on and then there's a translation that goes on to fill me in on the highlights. So I pick up a few bits and pieces of what's going on. But aside from that, I don't feel left out in any great deal. But the real question, as I said before, is like if Chanya was to move here, it's a real challenge for somebody who's she's 34 now, coming up to 35 next year. This is the peak of your life. This is where I was running businesses. This is when I was feeling like a champion of the world. Like I could do anything that my heart desired as long as I put the effort in. And I did well. I had a great time, running a business. Probably the worst industry to choose, which was the IT industry. Back then, I think the biggest challenges we had was in Australia. There was the sales tax laws where you had a 20% sales tax on all goods being sold. You'd buy X tax, and you'd have to sort of do all your bookwork and then pay your sales tax. And we were in an industry which was ripe with like the start-up and fly-by-night businesses, especially in the Chinese fly-by-night markets. Well, not so much markets. So what we found in Australia, they would set up a shop, right? They wouldn't remit their sales tax for 6 months, then the shop would disappear, right? And then I'd open up 3 doors down the road. That's the way that was the sort of competition we had to deal with in that legitimate market. And then, of course, they changed that process, I think, in 1998, where everything we had a special sort of tax threshold sort of situation where we went into a pre-GST style business where, like, don't want to go into all the details, but it really made, that took the icing off the cake of running your own business back then. But again, that's my life, in those times, and it's now 2017, coming up to the turn of 2018. I think when this movie comes out, or this video comes out, it probably is only a couple of days away from the new year, and you start to think about, okay, I've got no problem moving to Sukhothai to live out my days, build a house on mother's land, watch it go up, and just enjoy the rest of my life in a totally carefree sort of environment. Get to know all the locals, fall into that sort of whole routine of the country lifestyle. To me, as my uncles and my aunties, they all did this. I think the only person that really lived in the commercial environment was my father. He was in Australian Defence Industries, but the rest of his brothers, they all just chose to live a farming life. Out the Kenthurst, out Orange, Bathurst, Tamworth, all those sort of areas, and they enjoyed it too. For my sort of lifestyle, it's just something that I only saw from a fringe, and I saw my father, doing all the things that he does in the city, and it's amazing how much you start to think back. What you see is what you do. These sort of things, which really sort of gets back to where I was leading this particular thing. We copy society in what we see, and this is one of the biggest challenges we find in our life, to actually break out of that cycle of debt, a cycle of credit card use, cycle of spending money before you make it. These sort of things here, it's become so pervasive in the Western society life that we don't see people changing that. Okay, I did it, but it was really sort of, under the table. I didn't make any big point of it. All I focused on from 1998 through to 2016 was every spare dollar went into my superannuation and went into paying off the mortgage. Again, you leverage the mortgage when you want to get something. You put something down, take something out. But in my mind, it was the credit card debt and the personal loan debt, the things that sort of like housing loans. You're right. I think when I left Australia it was 2.5%. Okay, they weren't always 2.5%, but housing loans were always the cheapest cheapest debt you could leverage. If you could sort of roll everything into one, then that's the way to go. This is what I found worked for me. I've got background music here, so I'm probably going to get a copyright strike. I could turn the music off, but hey, it's the way it goes. But outside that, this is what I challenge people to think about. Right? Like we have all the people sort of coming up in Thailand to live a sort of different lifestyle, but how did you achieve that? What was the mechanisms you put in place? People often ask me what I did, what financing I did. Of course, this is where I take my challenge. I'm here. I'm really focusing on the engagement in social media. I'm very approachable. Have a look at my response rates. Right, I try to answer every question that's thrown at me. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do something different. Yeah, like if I have 20, 30,000 subscribers and 10,000 views per video, it might be a different kettle of fish. But at the moment, I'm very approachable. I'm a sort of a guy that I'm putting myself out there. I'm putting our life out there into the wider arena. For the people who stumble across this particular lifestyle, these particular things that go through my head. These are the sort of things, if you're choosing to come and Thailand as a destination for early retirement, right, there's some things you need to put in place, right? I've put in certain things in place. I'm not the expert on this. Like, the best advice I could ever give anybody is seek out a financial advisor, right, and preferably one that's been recommended to you. They're the best ones that work, right? What you see there on the internet, there's so much bullshit out there. It's so hard to choose somebody, find somebody. Like I said, my financial advisors are Citibank, right? That was part of my choosing process. All right, they're an established industry, they're an established banking system, they have global reach, and from my experience, they've been great for me. I'm also involved with Colonial Investments. That's another investment portfolio I have as well. Again, they were very approachable 10 years ago or 12 years ago when I was sort of refinancing and repackaging things. You don't have to sort of take that standard, what they call retirement benefit systems that your employees demand. Right? There is no law that says you have to take that safe risk. Right? If you're looking at your investment portfolio, get out there, be bold. Right? Let's put it this way: it's for your retirement. If you do it right, you can retire 10 years earlier than the rest of the workforce if you've got the money to do it. Right? These are sort of things that I'm throwing out there. This is the sort of things that I want to sort of promote in my channel. Right? Just because everybody else wants to jump off the Harbour Bridge doesn't mean you have to do it as well. Right? Get smart. Right? Ask questions. Right? I'm here. I can put you in directions that I've seen. I'm no expert, and I have no claim to fame to being an expert in this field. Right? But that's what I'm here for. Right? I think you really want to see a regular guy. Well, as regular as most guys, anyway. I know people have some people have an issue with my choice of partners. Well, quite frankly, it's got nothing to do with you. This is my choice. You don't have to do it my way, by all means. But the people who are stuck in those ruts, they get stuck with those challenging thoughts in their head, I think they've got no chance of actually breaking out of the cycle because they're so indebted into that ingrained system. right? Best advice I can do to you, just get bold, ask questions. Right, I'm here, I'll answer as best as I can, put you in. Love that song. That'll strike me, I'm sure. Anyway, look, no, I won't close it here. I'm just going to close the video for this point, and I'll pick it up later, probably when the Lau cow comes in.